Hi everyone, so today we are talking about all the things that I would recommend for the...
It's the most wonderful time of the year, with the kids jingle belling.
Best time of the year. Well, there's two best times of the year. There is the Nordstrom anniversary sale, and then there's the Sephora sale. But not that lame one that's in April, the Big Mama one that's in November, because it's 20% off. So, this happens one time a year for 20% off. So now's a good time to stock up on all of the things that you've been wanting all year long and some of the things that you might want to restock on. So I do a little bit of both. My strategy for the Sephora sale is I have three things. I stock up on things that I know that I love and I really, really need. I also get some fun things that maybe I've been eyeing for a long time but haven't wanted to spend the money on. And three, Christmas presents. So this year I have some Christmas presents in mind, and then I also have some things that are on my wish list. So if you would like me to make a video on some of the things that I'm thinking about picking up during the sale, let me know down below and I will get that up for you. But for right now, I'm going to tell you what my recommendations are. These are all products that I've been trying for a really long time. Some of these might even be products that were in my last year's recommendation video, so I apologize if they're repeat offenders, but that just means that I really, really love them and I highly recommend them to you guys. And so yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. And I also want to mention in this video that these are all cruelty-free products. Within the past year, I have switched over to only buying cruelty-free makeup, and I've been doing really well with it, so I'm pretty proud of myself. So one of the first things that I recommend doing during the Sephora sale is to pick up things that you have been eyeing for a really long time but just didn't want to purchase, or things that are a little bit more expensive. So as far as expensive things, I've had this for years. This is the T3 curling wand, and this does have, I'm not going to touch it because I just used it, this does have a removable wand, and it will, depending on which kind you want, there's a trio where it comes with 3 different style wands that you can attach to this base. Or I also bought this one, which is I think 1.25 inch, and it's a regular clip curling iron, and that's what I use to get the kind of curls that I have in my hair right now. So I highly recommend this. I've had it for a long time and I haven't had any issues with it, and I think it's a really good quality curling iron. It heats evenly, it heats up really fast. If you're in need of a blow dryer or flat iron or anything like that, then I highly recommend picking that up during the Sephora sale. But let's go ahead and get into some makeup products. So my first category that I'll talk a little bit about are eyeshadows. As for eyeshadows, I'm not one of those people who picks up 100 different eyeshadow palettes. It's just not usually where I spend my money if I'm makeup shopping. Don't get me wrong, I love a good eyeshadow palette, but I really, once I find one that I love, I stick to that one for a really long time before I move on to another one. So I have 2 here that I'd like to share with you. The first one I talked about in my favorites video. This is the Natasha Denona Lila palette, and this is the first Natasha Denona palette that I've ever purchased, but I don't think it'll be the last. I'm just so in love with the formula of these. If you want like a pop-in eyeshadow look, then this is the palette for you, because you have these really bright metallic colors, but then you can also do some more muted colors or muted looks as well, some more natural looks with this row or this column here and this column here. So I absolutely love this palette. She's got a few different eyeshadow palettes in Sephora now. I just own the Lila palette, but I really love this palette. I think that, how many times can I say palette? Palette, palette, palette. But I really think that this is a great one to pick up, especially if you've been eyeing it but haven't wanted to splurge because of the price. Getting that 20% off helps out just a little bit. This is beat up. This is the Tartelette in Bloom palette. Now, if you want a perfect everyday eyeshadow palette where you don't even have to think to make a look, this is the palette for you. It has mattes, it also has shimmers. I'm trying not to blind you with the mirror, but it's just a great all-around palette. The shimmers are just the kind of shimmers that I would wear on my lid on a daily basis, and then the mattes are just perfect. You have some deeper ones right here, and then you have some great transition colors. You have more of a matte brow bone highlight color, and then a great color to set your primer on your eyelid. I mean, this is just, it really doesn't get better than this as far as this is a palette where you have everything that you need in one palette. When I'm using this one, I don't ever have to dig into another one. I'm never like, oh, I need a better transition color, or oh, I need a better highlight. Everything is right here, and I love the formula of Tarte's shadows as well, and of course, cruelty free. Stila liquid glitters are really beautiful, so if you want like a glittery lid, then, I mean, look at that! These are just so pretty, and so I highly recommend these Stila ones. I know they have a couple of holiday gift sets for these, which I might pick up, but if you want a really glittery lid, this is an amazing product. We're going to transition to the face, and when I think about what foundations I really love, or what primers I really love, as far as a primer goes, I love the Hourglass Mineral Veil. I have oily skin and enlarged pores and texture on my skin, and I'm really trying hard to get rid of that, but this is very helpful in minimizing all of those things. Although it doesn't feel like this would be a great primer for oily skin because it does have that slippery feel to it, it's so good at minimizing oil on my skin. So I highly recommend this. This is the smaller version because I'm too cheap to get the bigger version unless it's on sale. But I'm definitely going to pick up the bigger version during this sale. And Hourglass is cruelty free. And for foundations, I have 3 foundations here that I would recommend. The first one I've used for years. This is the Marc Jacobs Remarkable Foundation. I'm in the color Bisque Taupe 28. This is basically gone, so I'm going to pick up another one during the sale, but this is a great foundation. If you like full coverage, this is your jam. You need the smallest amount, and I always recommend using a beauty blender with this one because it is just so pigmented, and a little goes a long way. This could get out of control real quick, and you could look like a total cake face if you're not careful. So there is a little bit of a learning curve with this foundation, but when it's done right, it's beautiful. Like, I think this may have been the foundation that I wore on my wedding day. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But I totally would if I did it. And this is more of a new favorite for me, but I've been wearing it a ton. This is the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Soft Matte Foundation. This is a long wear foundation. It actually lasts really well on me. It doesn't break down. It doesn't make me super greasy. It doesn't last as long as the Marc Jacobs, and it's not as full coverage as the Marc Jacobs. I would say that this is more medium coverage, but I do think that this is beautiful on the skin. I like the way this makes my skin look. So although the Marc Jacobs can look very makeup-y, this one doesn't look as makeup-y on my face, if that makes sense. This one's a little bit more natural than the Marc Jacobs one. This is the Bare Minerals Bare Pro Performance Wear Liquid Foundation. This has SPF 20, and they do say that this has good for your skin ingredients, although sometimes I do feel like my skin will act up after I've worn this for many days in a row. That's why I just kind of wear it here and there whenever I want my skin to look flawless. But this is medium to full coverage, and it does a really good job of lasting all day on the skin. To me, this is a better version of the Estee Lauder Double Wear. It lasts just as long, it provides just as good of coverage, although it feels a much lighter weight on the skin in comparison to the Estee Lauder Double Wear. Sometimes when I wear that one, I don't purchase that one anymore because it's not cruelty free, but when I would wear that one, it just felt so heavy on my skin, especially if you wear that one in the summer when it's hot. You just feel like it's just like too much going on your face sometimes. And so if you love the look that that one provides, but you want it to feel a little bit more lightweight on your skin, I would highly recommend this foundation. There's a pretty good shade range for this foundation as well, so you should be able to find your color. I'm in the color 15 Sandalwood. Now, in order to apply all of those foundations, a beauty blender. This is my favorite, and I really like the black one the best. I don't know what it is, but I highly recommend the black one over any other color. I notice that when I get this one wet, it doesn't drain and bleed black color. And I personally just think this one is the best. And then there are a couple face brushes that I like as well. These are both from Marc Jacobs. This is the Marc Jacobs The Face 2 brush. This is the best foundation brush ever. I have been using other ones, and then I went back to this one recently because I saw somebody talking about this in a video, and I don't remember who it was, but I was like, oh yeah, that was really good for foundation, and I used it, and I haven't looked back since. This is just amazing. It never leaves your skin looking streaky. It never leaves hairs on your face. It buffs it in really quick, really easily. This is amazing for foundation. And then for powder, I really love the Marc Jacobs. It's come off the name of it, but I believe this was the Face 1. So Face 1, Face 2. You can see the difference here. One kind of flares out a little bit, and this one's a little bit more dense than this one. So this one's a little bit more fluffy, and it's great for applying powder or any sort of finishing powder. I've washed these millions of times, and the quality is still there. They don't feel scratchy. They don't feel hard. These are some of the softest, best quality brushes that I own. So although they are pricey, they're worth the money in my opinion, and because they are on sale, now's the time. Now I do have a couple finishing powders. One of them is the Urban Decay Velvetizer. I use this as a setting powder on my cheek area only when I want like full, flawless looking skin. This is, I bet if I took this off, like you could probably see the powder going up into the ear. It's that finely milled, and it has this kind of like very light yellowish tint to the powder. But if you want your pores to be invisible, this is the powder for you. I have never in my life found a powder that blurs pores quite like this does. Amazing. And I think it's really good for oily skin. This is supposed to be something where you blend it into your foundation and it makes your foundation more like full coverage and matte. I've never tried it like that. I've always just used it as a setting powder right here or in my T-zone. So I highly recommend that. And then I've had this for years. I mean, like, this is beat. Like, there's nothing left of this one. This one I've hit pan on. This one I don't use quite as often because it's a little bit dark, so I use that as like a bronzer. But this is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Palette. So we have dim light, incandescent light, and radiant light. This was limited edition at one point, and then they brought it back, and I believe now it may be permanent, but I mean, like, I'm contemplating getting another one of these because I use dim light as a finishing powder all over my face when I want to look really glowy. And then incandescent light is probably hands down the best highlighter ever. If you want a highlighter that is very glowy but doesn't highlight any texture on your skin. So that is incandescent light right there. And so you can just see, like, once it's blended out, it's so, so pretty. And I know that they tried to, when they did the strobe powders, they tried to do one that was similar to this, and there's no comparison. Like, there is a strobe powder that's called, like, incandescent something, but no way, Jose. Like, this, you have to get the palette of it in order to get that, which I know sucks, but I use this one all the time as a finishing powder. And this one, if you want your cheeks to look really bronzed and glowy, then Radiant Light is a really good one. I have bought probably tons, hundreds of dollars worth of contour kits, I'm sure. I have the Kat Von D one. I had the Anastasia one when it first came out. What else? I can't remember. Ton of individual ones. Anyways, my point is that I've tried a ton, and the Marc Jacobs is the best. For me, anyways. This is the Instamark Light Filtering Contour Powder. This is in the color 40 Mirage Filter, so it has this kind of yellowy banana powder, and then the contour powder. I mean, you can see that I use this stuff, guys. Like, I have hit pan, like serious pan, on a lot of this. So I use it, and I love it. So the contour powder, it's just, there's something about it. It's cool toned, but it's not, like, I don't know. Can you even see it over here? Like, it's not so gray that it looks muddy or harsh. It's just a great all-around powder. And I even use the banana shade too, especially when I want to clean up my contour. Sometimes I'll even use the banana shade as a highlight down my nose when I don't want to actually use a highlighter on my nose. This is just a great product. And again, Marc Jacobs, cruelty-free. As for bronzers, you guys can see that I really like Marc Jacobs and I really like Hourglass. As for bronzers, I have two here, and you guessed it, they're from Hourglass. Oh, this one's from Becca. So this is the Radiant Bronze Light Bronzer. I've used this in a ton of videos, and it's just a beautiful color. When you swatch it, like when you look in the pan, you kind of see glitter, but that's never, like, it never transfers to your It's right here. It never transfers to your face. So I don't know like what kind of voodoo magic they have in these powders, but it just gives your skin such a beautiful glow. Like it just makes you look like so lit from within. So the Hourglass bronzer I would highly recommend. And then this is a newer purchase. This is the Becca Sunlit Bronzer in Capri Coast. So this is a warmer bronzer, but they do have a lot of different tones. And so if you want more of a reddish tone bronzer, I think it's Bondi Beach or something like that. Bondi Sands. Is it Bondi or Bondi? I think it's Bondi. Anyways, that one is more of a reddish tone, but this one is definitely more warm. Moving on. Blushes, I really like the Hourglass Ambient Lighting blushes. This is in the color Mood Exposure. And then I also really like the Marc Jacobs, what are these called? Air blushes. So these are both beautiful blushes. I honestly don't like blushes that are super pigmented. Like I like it to just be like a light wash of color that you can build up if you want more pigment, but both of these are like that. Like if you just dip your brush in there and then apply it to your skin, you're not going to have like this huge stripe of pink or peach colored. These are just both beautiful, so I might pick up a couple more of the Hourglass ones, and I know I want the nude color in the Marc Jacobs blush as well. I told you guys in my last video that I haven't really been highlighting much, but I do really like these Cover FX, what is it called? Highlighters? They're called like liquid enhancers or something like that. I forget the name of them, but the packaging it's like so beat up that the name isn't even there anymore. But I know that this one is in the color Sunlit or Sunlight. But these are super pigmented, but again, if you shear them out with your finger or blend it out with a beauty blender, whoa, right? Then you can get a natural look out of this despite what you see on my hand right now. So, I don't know. Like, even there, it looks pretty intense. But if you use a really small amount, then you can get a more natural look. The Bite Beauty liquid lipsticks. These are definitely more of a formula that's not going to dry down on your lips. It stays liquidy, kind of has like a satin finish. Same with these Marc Jacobs ones. The two colors that I love in both of these formulas are Whip, which is a nudie pink, and then Fawn Over Me, which is a peachy pink. So these are both great colors. And then I also love the Bare Minerals Forbidden Gloss. This has been my ride or die gloss for a really long time, so I highly recommend it. They just make your lips look super juicy and amazing. I will swatch this one for you. I'm trying not to swatch everything because I don't want this video to be super long, but you can see it right there. It's just high shine, and they always look beautiful on the lips. And then I really like the Marc Jacobs lipsticks too. So if you want a typical bullet lipstick, this color is beautiful. This is Marc Jacobs lipstick in the color Infamous. So it's this one right here. It's a deeper rose color, and it's like a perfect everyday color too. I really like the Kat Von D liquid lipsticks too. This was in the color Ophelia, and that's what I'm wearing on my lips right now with a gloss on top. So Ophelia is a beautiful color. I've been doing my own thing as far as skincare is concerned, but I do have a couple that I highly recommend, especially if you're just starting out with like a retin-A or anything like that. The first thing is the Kate Somerville Exfoliate. This is just a small sample size. I am going to restock my Exfoliate during the sale. It is the best exfoliator on the planet. I highly recommend. And then if you're just starting out with any sort of acids, I would recommend this before you go into the big dog zone with a retin-A, because this is going to be much more gentle than what I'm using right now. So this is the TLC by Drunk Elephant 12% AHA BHA blend, and it comes, I love the packaging for these. It has the pump, it's very sanitary. I do not have sensitive skin, so I feel like although I do like that, I don't think, like I think I'm to a point where I needed something more intense. Same thing for this. I've almost used all of this, but this is a really good micro peel if you want to ease your way into a retin-A cream. So this is the Kate Somerville Retisphere Micro Peel. It's a retinol glycolic treatment, again with the pump, so it's very sanitary. And I could use this nightly without having any sort of irritation, but you will want to work slowly with this until you build your way up. But this is a really good one too. I always felt like my pores looked really clear after using this. Alright, so I think that those are all my recommendations for the VIB sale. Of course, there's a ton of things that I think you guys could get and be very happy with, but these are like my products that I've used for a really long time, and I feel 100% confident in saying, yes, you should get it. So again, these are all cruelty-free items. If you have any questions about any of the items that I have recommended here, please just let me know down below. I wish you guys happy shopping during the sale, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.